Hello friends, I'm at college now. So, Hanya Yanagihara's new book, To Paradise, just came out today, and I just reread A Little Life. So I've been thinking, maybe it's time to have a little Hanya moment. I'm going to be reading and ranking all three of Hanya Yanagihara's books. Obviously, I just reread A Little Life, so I'm not going to reread it again. So if you want to see my experience and all my thoughts with that, you can watch that video. I'll link it below. A Little Life is one of my favorite books of all time. It's tied for number 1 with Call Me By Your Name. I love it so much. It is absolutely superb. I'll still talk about my thoughts of it in this video, obviously. But if you want in-depth, go watch that. And while I wait for To Paradise to arrive to me, since I ordered it, I'm going to be reading The People in the Trees. I'm gonna start this today. I don't know how long it'll take me. I'm really excited. I love Hanya's writing, but I've never read anything other than A Little Life, so I'm interested to see how her other books compare, especially because I hold A Little Life on such a high pedestal that I feel like nothing can surpass it. But that awaits to be seen. Reading and ranking all of Hanya Yanagihara's books. Let's go. Hello, it is Tuesday. My coffee is a little full and a little hot. So I've only gotten about 23 pages in. I basically read the introduction. So I don't have all that many thoughts. It seems interesting so far. Right off the bat, we're told that this doctor who made this discovery of like eternal life on this island is like accused of sexual abuse, and one of his like co-workers does not believe that the accusations are true, and then like writes this little introduction to us the readers about him and saying that this book, wow, so he was like found guilty and he's in prison, and this book is like his perspective, I guess, his story before he was accused of sexual abuse. So that'll be interesting. I'm gonna try my hardest to read this week, but you know, getting back to school, it's an adjustment. But I'll try to read. I have to do some lab hours for a dance production class that I'm in. I'll be busy with that in the evenings, but I can, and homework, you know, but hopefully I'll still have time to read. But I thought that I would talk about my thoughts of A Little Life while we're here. It is one of the best books I have ever read. It is one of my favorite books of all time, tied for the top spot. I adore it and I hate it because it makes me very sad, obviously. It is excruciating to read at parts, but the craft of the story, the characters, especially the writing, it's brilliant. It's absolutely superb. I think the big part is that the characters feel like real people. It feels like you're reading about real people, and you grow really attached to them, and then bad things happen and then you feel really sad. And a lot of it is just discovering the main character Jude, his backstory and his past trauma. Because what is A Little Life about? You know, on the surface, people will say that, oh, it's a story of friendship between these 4 men who were roommates in college, and it follows their life and their friendship. And that is true, but that is one aspect of the story. The biggest aspect, in my opinion, is Jude's trauma and the lifelong effects of it. The way that Hanya plays with time, with the present and the past and slipping in between it, is so brilliant. It's so seamless. I really think A Little Life is just like a masterclass in writing. It is absolutely fantastic. I can't praise it enough. I mean, I could like go on huge rants about how much I love this book, but I won't. So if you want to see like a really in-depth vlog of my experience rereading and just all my thoughts on it, go watch that video. But if you don't, just know that I think it is absolutely amazing, and I don't quite have the words to describe it. Just know it'll be very hard to top it, and we'll see if that's even possible. Hello. I finished part 1. Oh, it's Friday. My first week of school's over. I did not get time to read. That's okay. I finished part 1, entitled The Creek. And quite honestly, I don't have many like thoughts. It's kind of about his childhood, and his like relationship with his parents and his brother. The relationship with his brother seems to be important. The ending kind of has me scratching my head. So, the next part, mice. I will get back to you after I read the next part. Guys, my copy of To Paradise came in. It actually came in on Saturday, but I got the announcement from my mailroom that it came in 1 minute before the mailroom closed, so of course I couldn't pick it up then. Yeah, and then it wasn't open until now. So, which is Tuesday. Today's Tuesday, the 18th of January. Yeah. Oh, so I thought I would do an unboxing, of course. Oh. Oh my god. Oh. She's a tiny bit, I don't know how to describe it. There's like some marks. Oh, are these like, they're like little insects flying. Oh, so beautiful. I would have rather ordered it in paperback, but I don't think that's available yet. Oh, okay, maybe I wouldn't have, well, it's a map. This is kind of like a reimagining, this book is kind of a reimagining of history. So this is not just like a map of the United States. There's uncharted territory, there's free states, there's like certain lines. Oh, interesting. There's a map at the back. Hawaii. So it has the maps for book, oh, okay, book 2, book 3, and this was book 1. This is comprised of 3 books. Dude, I'm so excited, but I'm not going to be able to start it at the moment. One reason, I'm still reading People in the Trees, obviously. So how about we do a little update on that? Where'd I put it? So like, I'm not even halfway. So we need to do some reading. I read part 2 and 3. Mice and the Dreamers. I am now on part 4, the ninth hut, which is page 185 out of like 400 something. It was slow at first, and I was like, Hanya, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do all the science talk. But then we actually got to the island of Ivu Ivu, and we are discovering these perhaps immortal people. We're making scientific discoveries. The last section was definitely really interesting to me. Section 3, the Dreamers. I'm actually invested now. I was like, man, I don't know about this one because I don't care for the main character. I mean, you're first introduced to him as like someone who committed sexual assault. So yeah, no, I'm not gonna like him. I'm not reading it for the characters, I can tell you that, which is really interesting because for A Little Life, you read it all for the characters. So I'll just keep you updated. But see, that's not I don't only have to read this, I also have to like, do school. And what I'm gonna be tackling today is this bad boy. No, not all of it, I'm not gonna read the whole entire thing. Obviously, this is the complete collection of Shakespeare's plays. In my Shakespeare class, we are reading Taming of the Shrew. So I need to read some of that for tomorrow. Hello. So, I am currently back home. Why? Because I've tested positive for COVID. So, that's fun. I don't really want to talk about it, but I hope if anything can like come of my time isolating, it is the opportunity to read more, because I've not been reading much, I will be honest. I've been trying, but dude, I got school, and also I really like Succession. There are moments in time in which I could be reading and I choose to watch Succession. Like, while I'm here, I don't really feel sick, so I'm still gonna be taking some classes that I can online. Obviously I won't be able to take all of them, but some of them do have either online components or just are online, so I can take those classes and I still will do my assignments, so I don't have all the free time in the world. But I'm here until Thursday. It's currently Sunday. I got here yesterday in the evening. I'm just in my room until Thursday. I'm actually really enjoying People in the Trees. I know I haven't been reading as consistently as I wanted to, but I'm in the middle of part 4 right now, Ninth Hut. I really want to finish this while I'm here. I really want to read To Paradise. I don't know if it's possible to read all of it. I mean, it might be. It fucking might be. We'll see though, right? Guys, it's Monday night. I've done a lot of homework today. Haven't gotten to read as much as I've liked. I'm still reading. The day's not over. I'm on part 6 now, which is called Victor. Finished part 5. And I've less than 100 pages left. And bitch, I just want to finish this book. I like it. I really like this book. I do. But it's time for us to say goodbye, you know? You know when you read a book and you're like, I do like you, but I think it's time for us to depart. I think it's time to wrap things up here. That's how I'm feeling. So I'll tell you all of my thoughts after I finish it. Bruh, I just finished part 6, Victor. That was an intense section. I did not expect that. Fuck Norton. Fuck this man. I'll talk more of my thoughts of that after. Funny enough, the next section I'm reading, the last section, is called After. So, I'll see you after. Okay, it's 1 in the morning. I finished The People in the Trees. Holy fuck. I had absolutely no clue what to expect from this book, because I don't know anyone that has read it. of course, I don't know anyone personally, but I don't even know anyone like on BookTube or anything. So many people have read A Little Life. So many people have read A Little Life, but I don't know anyone that's read The People in the Trees. Obviously people have, but I don't know anyone, you know? So I had no clue what to expect. I did not expect to like it as much as I did. It's really good. Like, I knew it was gonna be well done. I knew it was gonna be well written. It's Hanya. I knew that, but I did not expect to like it. I thought it was gonna be really boring. And I was really surprised by how not bored I was. I could see this novel like being taught in classrooms because I think it has a literary merit to it that deserves studying. It just seems like something that people would study. If I didn't know better, you could tell me this was a classic novel and I would believe you. My favorite parts were when we were on the island learning about the people and their traditions and everything. The Opa Ivuekes, the Ivu Ivuans, the Maku Owls. I thought that it was just really interesting. And I really liked the part after that focused on his children, because holy fuck, that was intense, especially a certain child. This is not a book in which you have lovable characters, like with A Little Life. If I am to compare the two, you love the characters in A Little Life, and that's kind of what drives it. You're like really attached to these characters, you love them. You will not love the characters in this book, especially the main character. You see the like deterioration of his morality throughout the course of this novel. I don't even know if anyone watching this has read this book, so I don't know if any of you will understand this, but there's a part, so like his friend is like editing this, and there's footnotes, and one of the footnotes says, oh, I took the next section out. And I read that and I was like, bitch, no you didn't. You can't do that. And I had a feeling I knew what was in that section. I knew what was in that section. And then at the very end, he's like, okay, I'll give you that section. And it's exactly what I thought it was. And that was the last part. So it leaves off on a not good note, but I don't know what other note this book would leave off on, because I mean, this isn't like a, yeah, they go on an island and discover this group of seemingly immortal people, and that's fun, right? But this is not a fun book. To give some comparisons to A Little Life, what have I noticed? Trends in Hanya's writing. She's much more focused on characters than plot. It's more like a study of this man. Kind of like A Little Life is a study of Jude and the people in his life, you know? The writing is very raw and blunt and real, but also lyrical. But like, she tells it as it is. Homegirl does not hold back on descriptions that are not pretty. Like, she just gives it to you, and I admire that. The like idea of uncovering people and like their secrets, and like at the beginning you kind of have an idea of that there's something more about them than you know. It's 1 in the morning. Dude, this was such a pleasant surprise. I genuinely really loved it. And I'm very excited to see how I feel about To Paradise. Okay guys, can you guess what I'm about to do? That's right, I'm about to start To Paradise, and I'm so excited. Okay, so I'm like 80 pages in, and holy fuck, I love this. I'm like smiling like a little fool reading this. But also like there's this like kind of love triangle going on, but not really a love triangle, because one of them is like who he's supposed to marry, and the other is like who he actually is in love with. And well, I'm just like reading this really anxiously because I'm like, choose the one you love. It's so obvious. Come on, please. I am screaming at the miscommunication that is taking place, and I have to say, I do not give a fuck about Charles. He's a well-intentioned man. I feel bad for him, but I do not give a fuck. Okay? I do not give a fuck. It's Tuesday night. I have just finished book 1 into Paradise, which is called Washington Square. It's like about 180 pages. There's 3 books in this book. 3 books, 3 sections. They're like different stories that span, like the first story is in 1893, second 1993, and then 2093. And it's all like kind of a reimagining of America. And in this first story, there are these states called free states where people can live in love as they please. So gay couples can get married, and it's 1893. We follow David, who is a son of this really wealthy family, and like his grandfather has taken care of him and his siblings. I love the fact that both of his siblings are also gay. Like his brother has a husband and his sister has a wife, and he's gay too, so it's like, oh, nice. He has like a marriage proposal. There is a music teacher that ends up catching his eye, and so he basically is like has to choose. I just ate it up. It was so good. Oh, I love this quote. The fact that he had not experienced the same kind of happiness was a source of both sorrow and concern. Of late, he had been beginning to fear that it was not just that no one might love him, but that he might be incapable of receiving such love, which seemed altogether worse. His infatuation with Edward, then, the awakening he felt within him, was not just transporting for the sensation itself, but intensified by his sense of relief. There was nothing wrong with him after all. It was not he who was damaged. It was only that he had yet to find the person who would arouse in him his full capacity for pleasure. But now he had, and he was at last experiencing the sort of transformation that love had visited on everyone he knew, but that had always eluded him. Hi. It's like, what time is it? It's like 7, and I finished part 2. This section split into 2 parts. One basically follows this man, and he's dating an older man that they work at like the same place, kind of like just like their relationship, but also it's 1993 and we're dealing with AIDS. That's a big element in that part. The second section is like his dad writing a letter to him. It's basically like his life in Hawaii. They use the same names that were in the first section, so I'm gonna bet that we're gonna use those names again in the third section. So that's interesting. I feel like I didn't like it as much as the first section just because I was like, I don't know, waiting for more to happen, I guess. Okay. What he wouldn't know until he was much older was that no one was ever free, that to know someone and to love them was to assume the task of remembering them, even if that person was still living. No one could escape that duty, and as you aged, you grew to crave responsibility, even as you sometimes resented it. That knowledge that your life was inextricable from another's, that a person marked their existence in part by their association with you. Hanya's always hitting us with these life quotes, and like it's stuff that you're like, I've never like thought about it, but yeah. It's difficult to explain, he said, but there are some people in your life where it's just easier not to know too much about them. Like, hello? I mean, I've never like really thought about that. But yeah, and also that kind of reminds me of A Little Life, like that the people in Jude's life don't know his backstory. Most people do not know his past, and they accept that, and they're like, yeah, okay, yeah, we have to accept that we don't know all of him, you know? The next section is like almost half the novel, and it's like split into 10 parts, and it looks as though we're gonna be jumping back and forth between time, but it's like all in the future. I'm gonna finish it, you know? It's like, it's after 7. And I have to finish it tonight. I'm gonna finish it. I'm listening to the audiobook while reading this, and one of the narrators is BD Wong. If you've watched Mr. Robot's literally one of my favorite shows ever, and yeah, BD Wong is in it. To have him be a narrator in this book, please and thank you. Please and thank you. It's like 2:30 in the morning, but I have to get up at 6:30, so I'm giving you my thoughts now. I finished To Paradise. Maybe, I think I did read it a little too quickly for my liking, trying to get it in, unintentionally reminiscent of the first time that I read A Little Life, in which I read it all in one day to try to get it in on New Year's Eve to finish it before the end of the year. I did not mean to recreate that experience. It wasn't the same experience because A Little Life is much more traumatizing. The last section, which is the longest section, is set in the 2040s to the 2090s. It's about a virus. I've actually watched some interviews and read some interviews in which Hanya talks about the fact that like she started writing this before COVID hit, so like she didn't write this virus, like something about a virus, because of it. She was writing it before it, and that was like kind of weird. It switches back and forth between these two characters, and one is in the form of letters and the other's just like narration, and I did really like this section. One thing I did not think I would encounter reading this book is the use of the term fussy queen that was used. I still am unaware, I'm still uncertain if this is all taking place in the same universe, because it doesn't really mention. I feel like if it took place in the same universe, it would mention the whole like free state thing. I don't know. What did I think about this book overall? I did really like it. It's not like anything I've ever read, how it's split into 3 separate stories set each 100 years apart in this kind of new America. My like critical thinking is just not here, so you'll have to forgive me. I also read like most of this today. Why do I hate myself? Some of the sections had epistolary styles, which I don't get to read that often, so that's always a fun time. Give me some of that epistolary action. I don't really know what I expected of this book going in, so I don't know if I can say if it like delivered or not. I enjoyed it. So let's just do the ranking because I can't do it tomorrow morning and I have all the books with me here. This ranking is actually really hard because the third and the second book, I feel like you guys are already gonna know my ranking. The third and the second book are kind of tied. Like, I have a hard time determining which one I really like better. They're like kind of tied, but it's a ranking video, so I have to give it a ranking. Just know that like my opinion might change, and these are very close together. I would say number 3 is The People in the Trees. It is a really amazing book. It was a little treasure that I did not expect. I think it's because it doesn't have the characters for me that I care about, you know, and I'm a character-driven reader. It is really interesting to follow characters that are morally wrong and despicable. I think it is really interesting, and I do love it. I do love this book, but in terms of comparison, I love me some characters that I can love. But then again, number 2, To Paradise. Are these characters that great either? No, I would say there are some good characters in this. Actually, yeah. I mean, everyone's flawed. I think that is one thing that I really like about Hanya's writing is the characters are flawed. Not a single one of them is a perfect little angel. Except Willem. I'm kidding. He's not perfect. Well, every character is flawed. And that is human. I think I just like kind of enjoyed reading it more. And the thing is, all 3 of these books are so unique. I've never read a book like any 3 of them. They're also different from each other, yet they have elements that remind me of each other. It's really hard to tell between these 2 because I do like have a similar feeling between them, as in like, yes, they are both really great, but they are not this. Of course this is number 1. Are you kidding? Also, just, I'm looking back at what the fuck? It's really mesmerizing to look at. I loved those books. Those are 5-star books. This is like a quadrillion-star book. I mean, what can I say? What can I say? This book just lives in my soul. That's the difference. I'm so glad that I read Hanya's other books, and I know I will reread them, and I know they will leave a lasting impression on me, but they do not live in my soul like A Little Life does. And I kind of knew that was gonna happen. Like, a book would have to be really fucking spectacular for me to like it more than A Little Life. This book just means the world to me. And these characters mean the world to me. And I have never been so emotional about a book before. And when you have those kind of emotions, you feel attached. And this book has latched itself onto my heart. So, of course it's number 1. Of course this is my top Hanya book. But I've literally loved all 3 of the books that I've read. I am a certified hoe for Hanya Yanagihara. A Yanagiho, if you will. So, thank you for watching this. Hanya, thank you for the trauma.